You open your banking app, see a comfortable number, and feel a sudden wave of relief. It looks like you have plenty of room to spend, so you buy that item you wanted or treat a group of friends to dinner. But a week later, an annual insurance premium hits your account, or your car suddenly needs a new battery. That comfortable cushion disappears instantly, leaving you stressed and wondering where your hard-earned money went. The problem is not your income, and it is not your lack of discipline. The real issue is the invisible leak caused by looking at the total balance rather than specific commitments. When you leave money sitting in a loose pool without a specific designation, your brain automatically treats it as free cash. You forget about the quiet expenses waiting just around the corner, like quarterly taxes, holiday gifts, or basic home maintenance. An unassigned dollar is actually a financial liability masquerading as freedom. It sits there tempting you to make choices that your future self will have to pay for with stress and regret. True financial peace does not come from having a vague pile of cash waiting for an impulse to claim it. It comes from making concrete decisions before the month begins. By shifting your mindset today, you stop playing defense against your bank statement. You can finally start directing your money intentionally, closing the loopholes that cause your wealth to slip away through your fingers slowly. Think of your money as a company that you own and operate. Right now, your dollars are acting like employees who showed up to the office with absolutely no instructions. Some are wandering the halls, some are sleeping at their desks, and a few are actively throwing company cash out the window on things you do not even care about. If a business ran this way, it would go bankrupt in a matter of months. A successful company thrives because every single employee has a clear job description, specific daily tasks, and a defined role in building the organization. Your personal finances require that same level of operational structure. When you spend reactively, you are constantly reacting to emergencies, impulses, and sudden cravings. You wait for a bill to arrive, scramble to cover it, and then use whatever survives to fund your daily life. This constant state of financial firefighting creates deep emotional exhaustion. It makes you feel like you are working incredibly hard just to stay in the same place. Proactive planning completely flips this dynamic on its head. By shifting your perspective, you transition from a stressed bystander into an authoritative leader. You sit down with your income before the month even begins, and you give every single dollar a highly specific mission. $1 is assigned to protect your housing, another is set to build your retirement fund, and another is designated for a weekend dinner with family. When every dollar has a mission, the internal guilt of spending completely disappears. You no longer have to wonder if buying a coffee or purchasing a new pair of shoes will hurt your ability to pay your rent next week. The money you spend on enjoyment is fully cleared for that exact task. You are finally running your financial life with absolute clarity, intention, and purpose, ensuring that your resources are working efficiently to build the secure future you deserve. To build a life of financial purpose, you must start on solid ground. This means taking an honest, unflinching look at your absolute mandatory requirements before you do anything else. These are the non-negotiable pillars of your existence. They are the expenses that keep a roof over your head, keep the lights turned on, and protect your family from hardship. You cannot build a secure financial future on a foundation of guesswork, so your first step is to isolate these numbers from the rest of your life. Sit down and list your core survival costs. Write down your rent or mortgage payment, your electricity, water, and gas bills, your insurance premiums, and your groceries. Right alongside those, include your minimum debt payments. These numbers represent the baseline cost of your life. They are not options or suggestions, and treating them as an afterthought is exactly what creates that constant, low-grade background anxiety. When you do not explicitly map out these mandatory requirements, they end up competing with your lifestyle desires. You find yourself standing in a store wondering if you can afford an impulse purchase, simply because you do not know exactly how much cash is already claimed by your upcoming utilities or your car payment. By identifying and funding these core pillars on day one, you completely remove that mental fog. Securing your mandatory requirements first creates an immediate sense of emotional safety. You are locking in your survival up front, which gives you a clear boundary for the rest of your decisions. You no longer have to worry about the rent money accidentally being spent on a weekend trip or a nice dinner out. When these essential categories are fully funded, the stress of the unknown vanishes. You can look at the remainder of your income with total confidence, knowing that your basic needs are entirely taken care of. This direct action shifts your budget from a source of restriction into a tool of absolute security, allowing you to move forward to the next steps with a calm and focused mind. Once your baseline needs are secure, you must confront the hidden forces that quietly derail even the best intentions. Most people do not go broke because of their daily espresso or a casual dinner out. They go broke because of future shock. These are the predictable, non-monthly expenses that always seem to catch us by surprise. It is the annual car registration, the semi-annual insurance premium, the seasonal holiday gifts, or the sudden dental bill. Because these events do not happen every 30 days, we leave them out of our monthly plans, treating them as sudden emergencies when they finally arrive. This cycle creates a volatile pattern of financial whiplash. You have a great month where you save money, only for the next month to be completely wiped out by a routine veterinary visit. To break this cycle, you need to use sinking funds, which simply means breaking these large, irregular expenses down into manageable monthly targets. If you know you need to spend $1,200 on holiday gifts in December, that number feels overwhelming when winter arrives. But if you assign $100 to that specific job every single month starting in January, the entire problem changes. When December comes, the money is already sitting there waiting for you. You are not scrambling, you are not accumulating credit card debt, and you are not pulling resources away from your other goals. You have successfully neutralized a future crisis by planning for it in the present. Transforming these distant shocks into predictable monthly bills builds an incredible amount of trust in your own system. You stop living in fear of the next calendar flip because you know your future self is already taken care of. When your car inevitably needs new tires, it is no longer a financial catastrophe that ruins your entire season. It is just a pre-funded line item that you handle with complete calm. By assigning a purpose to these future needs today, you interrupt the cycle of panic and replace it with total control. After securing your current needs and neutralizing future shocks, you must focus on building your long-term freedom. The biggest mistake people make with savings and investments is treating them as an afterthought. Most people pay their bills, fund their lifestyle, and then plan to save whatever is left to survive at the very end of the month. This approach almost always fails because our spending naturally expands to swallow up our available cash. If you wait to save what is left, you will quickly find that nothing is ever left. To break out of this cycle, you must practice the strategy of paying yourself first on day one. The moment your paycheck arrives, your retirement accounts, index funds, and emergency savings should get their allocations immediately. This completely reclaims your financial power. Instead of giving your hard-earned money away to corporations and retailers first, you are intentionally investing in your own security and freedom before anyone else can touch a single cent. However, simply moving money into a vague savings account is not enough to keep you motivated. Just like your living expenses, your savings goals need specific names and concrete jobs. When you have an account simply labeled savings, it is incredibly easy to raid that cash for a vacation or a new electronic device. But when that money is explicitly named a 6-month emergency fund, down payment for a home, or age 60 retirement, the psychological boundary changes completely. Giving your future money a distinct identity provides immense emotional clarity. You are no longer just depriving yourself of a purchase today, you are actively buying your future independence. You are buying the ability to walk away from a toxic job, the peace of mind to handle a medical crisis, or the option to retire early. This shift in mindset transforms saving from a painful chore of restriction into an empowering act of self-love. You can look ahead to the next 5, 10, or 20 years with excitement rather than anxiety, knowing that every single month you are actively building a rich, stable, and completely self-sufficient life. The moment you finish assigning every single dollar a job, a sense of deep satisfaction takes over. You have a perfect plan written down on paper or organized neatly inside a spreadsheet. But then, real life actually happens. You go to the grocery store and spend $50 more than you estimated, or a close friend invites you out to a birthday dinner that you completely forgot to include in your entertainment category. Suddenly, your perfect mathematical model is broken, and a familiar feeling of frustration starts to creep in. Many people view this exact moment as a total failure. They assume that because they overspent in one category, the entire system has collapsed, so they give up and stop tracking entirely for the rest of the month. This reaction is a massive mistake based on a flawed assumption. A budget is not a rigid cage designed to lock you into a flawless, unchangeable routine. It is a living, breathing guide that must adapt as your days unfold. Overspending in a category is not a sign of failure. It is simply new information. This is where you must apply the flex principle. When one category runs over, you do not abandon the plan. You safely move money from another category to cover the difference. If your groceries cost $50 more than you expected, you simply take $50 out of your clothing or dining out category to balance the scale. Your income minus your assignments still equals 0, and your long-term savings goals remain completely untouched. Shifting funds mid-month is exactly how successful budgeting actually works in the real world. It gives you the ultimate reassurance that you are always in total control of your money, even when things do not go perfectly according to plan. You are the boss of your finances, which means you have the full authority to reassign your employees whenever the business needs change. This flexibility completely removes the guilt and shame commonly associated with managing money. By adopting this adaptable mindset, you overcome the biggest obstacle to long-term consistency. You stop aiming for unrealistic perfection and start building a resilient financial habit that easily survives the natural chaos of daily life. When you give every dollar a specific purpose, you are doing much more than just tracking numbers on a screen. You are taking complete ownership of your life and deciding exactly where your energy goes. By mapping out your mandatory requirements, funding your sinking funds for future shock, and investing in your future self first, you build a fortress of security that can withstand the unexpected storms of daily life. You stop playing defense against your bank account and finally start calling the shots. Do not wait for a perfect moment, a new year, or a massive raise to begin this transformation. Take action right now, before your very next paycheck lands in your account. Sit down, open a blank document, and give every single upcoming dollar a clear and specific mission. Remember that a flexible plan is a resilient plan, and adjusting your numbers along the way is simply part of the process. True financial freedom is not about having a mountain of unassigned cash waiting to be spent on a whim. It is the deep, unwavering peace of knowing exactly what your money is doing for you at any given moment. By intentionally directing your resources toward the things that matter most, you eliminate the constant anxiety of the unknown. You replace the stress of reactive spending with the ultimate confidence of full control, creating a clear, direct path toward the secure and independent life you have always wanted to achieve.